Hey everybody, for those of you who are unfamiliar, my name's Isaiah Shields. This is going to be the first in a series of shorter format videos about my walk across the country. I started in Provo, Utah, and then the goal was to walk from the westernmost to the easternmost points of the contiguous 48 United States. So I walked from Provo to the westernmost point in Cape Alava, and now I'm headed to Maine to the easternmost. These are going to be a shorter series of videos about behind the scenes or just roadside thoughts. You can find my full-length series videos in a playlist called Walk Across America. If you'd like, subscribe and follow along, and you can follow me for daily Instagram updates at IGShields27. You can find that in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoy the videos. We're walking along this trail. It used to be part of Route 30, I think, but then when the interstate was created, they closed it off. And then in the 90s, they're like, hey, we should make this a walking path. And I've had the whole thing to myself, which is kind of cool. I passed 2 people, like within 50 feet of getting on the path, and since then I haven't seen anybody. Probably because it's 111 degrees outside. But I was talking to my dad earlier on the phone. People call me periodically to check in. Weird habit families have of caring for each other. He was talking about, like the financial toll that this is having on me, both in expenditures and in opportunity cost, where I'm not bringing in anything. And he's like, yeah, you should, he's like, maybe like periodically you'll get a hotel room just to sort of rejuvenate, reset. And I explained to him one time I went into a hotel room. I stayed one night at a hotel room when I was in Pendleton. And I was talking to him, I was like, man, I just felt so isolated from the world. It's a little bit difficult to describe, but one thing that's been interesting about this journey is I always have to be on. I'm always calibrating my route, checking Google, making sure I'm headed the right way, figuring out where I'm going to sleep when I get to that point, writing in my journal, trying to take videos and pictures, sort of like ones that will be conducive to sharing the story. I'm always wondering, like if I'm gonna be safe. People, some of them are shady, or animals when I'm sleeping. Like last night, I had my camp set up and just pretty close to the road. And I remember when I was setting up my tent, I noticed that there was an aluminum can for like Coke or something somebody had tossed at some point. And at about 2 in the morning, that can rustled. It was probably like 3 or 4 feet away from my tent, so it wasn't me like kicking it with my feet through the walls of the tent. But it moved for like 10 seconds. Somebody was rustling around with it. And in all likelihood, it was probably a squirrel. But from inside my tent, when it was dark, I didn't know if it was a snake or a bear or a mountain lion or a shady character of a human variety. And so I felt like a teacup of adrenaline was just poured into my heart. I was bolt upright, just ready to go, seeing what was happening, just so on the ball. And now, like I feel like I have to be using my mind all the time, wondering about people's lives that I pass. Constantly, there's just so much data coming in all the time, and it's all new surroundings constantly. And it's crazy what that does to your brain. You just have to be interpreting it all the time. So the one night I got a hotel room, I felt like I had been deactivated. I was safe behind walls. I knew where I was going to sleep. I had Wi-Fi and power and a shower. I didn't have to watch my cart wondering if people were going to steal it with all my things, which would be really inconvenient. It was climate controlled, and it felt so sterile. Hollow. I guess hollow is the better term. It just felt so hollow and empty. I guess one of the best ways to describe how I feel out here is alive. All the time. I'm meeting people or have the potential of meeting people. I'm seeing new scenery. I've got my sign on my cart that sort of invites people, because I'm trying to advertise essentially. So it invites people to ask me my story. So I always have to be sort of ready to tell my story and tell it in a way that can be somewhat easily understood in 30 seconds, because that's usually all the time they sort of have in their lives to devote. Sometimes it's longer, but usually what they got. I'm dealing with the elements, heat, water, my body like breaking down as I put it through pretty rigorous stresses, especially when it's hot. Like right now, I can point out a dozen aches and pains in my body if I were asked. And you have to manage that like long term. But out here, when I'm constantly in the thick of it, and I'm constantly plugged into the world, the external world, I'm actually living life instead of like watching a TV show. And it's exhausting. Most of the time it's just tiring, but like it happens frequently enough where it feels meaningful and like grand, or I feel some strong emotion that it just, at the end of the day, what is life about but like feeling things? The positive spectrum of emotions, whether it's love or joy or accomplishment or satisfaction, and I think we're so used to short-circuiting that with media and sensational movies and news and, for some people, drugs. That I think a lot of people are in danger in some societies of forgetting what it's like to live the real thing. And I feel like I'm living the real thing every day, every hour of every day. From the moment I wake up and I have to start packing and wrapping my feet and getting my shoes and packing the cart and getting ready to go and adjusting the solar panel so I can make sure everything gets charged, to the moment I fall asleep when I finally wrote in my journal and tried to post a few updates and keep people informed about where I'm going and respond to everybody that's messaged me, which I love. I love doing that. I love that part. But it's hard to do when you're walking, so a lot of times I'll do that in the evening. And I'll finally brush my teeth and get knocked out until 6:30 in the morning. The sun is hot and bright enough that it started to cook me in my tent. So I wake up and start all over.